top of the field, Paul Tracy, followed by Emerson Fittipaldi. Al Unser Jr., the yellow has come out. We've got a car against the wall, and it looks to be...
It's a Penske.
Oh, no! Oh, my goodness, how did that happen? The yellow had been out for some time.
Jacques Villeneuve got high, coming through 3, up into the gray, and absolutely rammed into one of those stationary cars.
The yellow flags are out everywhere. We've got several cars damaged. We'll keep track of this, and when we come back, we'll let you know exactly what's happened here. Debris all over the 3rd and 4th turn. Back at the Slick 50 200 Phoenix, Arizona, you see the damage to Villeneuve's car. We've got several cars involved here, a chain reaction accident, actually several separate accidents, all occurring in the same place at about the same time. Fortunately, all the drivers, including Paul Tracy, who was the leader of the race, involved, and Jan is right there.
Paul, what happened out there?
Well, I coming down the back straightaway, and I saw Hiro and somebody and Fabi get together, and they just went up the track. I was up on the outside, and I had nowhere to go, and then I was sitting there. I was about to get out of the car, and something hit me. I don't know if somebody's motor just clobbered me right in the side.
Well, that something was Villeneuve. Look here.
To be out of the race.
Well, thankfully you're okay. It was a scary moment.
Yeah, it was.
Thank you, Paul.
I'll tell you what. Hiro is a very lucky man. Let's take a look at it again, Derek.
Here's how it starts. Teo Fabi right there. Touches wheels with Matsushita. That is an accident all by itself. Watch Tracy now. Stop it right there. Can we stop it right there? Tracy tries to avoid it, and look, he's in the gray. Okay, if we let it run on, you'll see what happens then. Tracy is an innocent victim here. Now it's a 3-car crash. As soon as it all stops, remember the gray is the no grip area. The yellow flags are now out. The rest of the cars come around.
And next down the line, Jacques Villeneuve. Look at him go outside.
Now look at this. Now watch the impact. Stop it right there. Can we stop it right there? Villeneuve has now no grip. He's in the gray. He's got dirt on his tires from the accident. He now knows there's a huge impact coming. Watch this violent impact. That is the scariest piece I have seen in IndyCar racing for many years. It is phenomenal that Jacques Villeneuve stepped out and walked away from that Reynard. Michael Andretti said when he drove this car first, this is the strongest racing car I have ever driven. There is proof of the point.
By the way, also Dominic Dobson, look there in the middle. That is Hiro. He's talking with 2 of the safety crew. He was the one in that car that was hit. Jan Beekes is right there. Jan, he looks like he's fine. Let's go first to Gary Gerald, who has Dominic Dobson also involved.
This was a scary, scary incident, Dominic. What were you able to see, and what can you tell us?
Well, all I really saw was Fabi up in the wall, and then Villeneuve absolutely T-boned him. He came down across, and there was nowhere for me to go. I was down far inside, and I was trying to get slowed down, and there's just no room.
And so much disappointment because you were been running so well up there in the top 5.
Well, I'll tell you, the PacWest team, my hat's really off to them. They did a fantastic job getting both Scott and I in the field, and we're running strong, and I'm just disappointed for the team. I know they worked very hard.
We'll see you next week at Long Beach.
Okay, we'll be back.
All right, thanks. Paul?
We also saw Teo Fabi, who was in the accident, walking by. Let's get an update from Jan.
Well, Hiro Matsushita is now in the ambulance, but we spoke with him briefly. He is okay with the exception of a sore shoulder. So another very lucky man here.
Oh, look at that. There is Hiro's car. I'll tell you what, Derek, you can't say enough about what happens is all of the designers, the Nigel Bennett's, Renard, they all get together and they decide what the safety will be, that this nut has to be that strong and that bolt with this much shear. It pays off in moments like this.
That there is Matsushita's car. It is broken in half. They broke the engine and gearbox off the car.
Teo Fabi also in the accidents with Gary Gerald.
Teo, what can you tell us now from what you were able to see out there?
Well, I was trying to go by Gugelmin. I think it was Gugelmin, and when I was already in front of him on the outside, I think he moved over, and my rear wheel went over his front wheel, and so he just made me spun, and I went into the wall.
This racetrack is known for the fierce traffic, and you have to concentrate so hard, but sometimes I guess there's just nothing a driver can do.
Well, you see, you suppose that the driver you are overtaking stays on the same line, and when he moves, it's too late.
or at least happy you're okay. Thanks, Teo.
Thank you.
Paul?
A lot of work to do up on the track to get all of the debris and cars away. Let's take a look at this accident again. Let's just listen. And if you can believe it, despite all that and this kind of damage, we don't have any one of these names seriously injured, if injured at all. But for the second year in a row, Paul Tracy goes out while leading the race. Back at the Slick 50 200 Phoenix, Arizona, still cleaning up from a massive accident. You can see all the equipment on the track right under the Goodyear Bridge there in the fourth turn. Let's look at it again.
Watch this in slow motion. Racing cars are designed to dissipate the energy by breaking into little pieces. Watch this horrible impact. Look at the left front wheel of Villeneuve. He realizes he's in trouble, deep trouble, locks it up. Huge impact. Now watch as these cars break apart. Stop it right there. That is the engine and gearbox and complete back end of Matsushita's car that has just been ripped apart. That is what they're designed to do.
And to show you the danger too, that's what threw Paul Tracy's car over to the side, is this section, the gearbox and engine of that car. Now, down by that car is Jan Beekes.
Well, they're lifting that car at the moment, Paul, and fuel is pouring out from it. The methanol fuel is being diluted with water from the safety personnel. What they're trying to do now is to lift the back of the car so that fuel cell will stop leaking. But what they were doing while it was leaking was diluting it with water. That's what keeps it from bursting into flames. Let's check in with Gary.
And here you see Villeneuve's car as officials bring it back now where they will take the excess fuel out of the tank. But look at this nose section. This is carbon fiber. Remember, they made a rules change a year or so ago to give the driver more protection up around the foot box. Thank goodness they made that rule change, because that had to be a huge factor in this violent crash for the young Canadian driver. It just ripped the nose literally off of there. That takes tremendous force to rip that away like that. It's very, very fortunate that he was not seriously injured.
That's Villeneuve's car, and we're not talking just fiberglass there. All kinds of deformable structure, carbon fiber. And the Renards, they seem to have the driver a little further back than even the rule requires.
That's right, and you can clearly see here the complete pedal assembly is gone from that car, which means Villeneuve probably at the point of impact lifted his feet as far back from the point of impact as possible. But that is a huge crash and a superb test of the Reynard chassis.
And look at the bent suspension members, and think of the, you know, it looks like a small piece, but it takes incredible energy to do that kind of thing. Just awesome.
Carbon fiber is lighter and stronger than steel. Lighter and stronger than steel. They build a survival cell for the driver to sit inside. You can smash it and break it, but as long as it doesn't get into the driver, you've done your job. Happily, we saw Villeneuve walk away.
Pennzoil team gets Teo Fabi's car back out of the way. Still fuel, methanol fuel, pouring out of that car. That is Hiro's car. And by the way, this works with methanol. It doesn't work with gasoline. You can dilute with water with methanol and keep it from being flammable. We'll be back with more. We're still under yellow.
Fiber. All these cars now are made completely from carbon fiber, and it does now seem as though that's the best answer.
Well, there are various composites used, not all carbon fiber, but I think a composite chassis is definitely the way to go. I don't think there's been any doubt about that for a number of years.
Thank you, Nigel. Gary?
Well, here's Jacques Villeneuve, who's just come out of the medical center. Jacques, first of all, how are you feeling after this horrific accident?
Well, a bit stretched, but feeling okay.
Can you tell us what happened? And the question appears to be, the yellow had been out, and you moved up high on the racetrack and then became involved.
Well, when the yellow came up, they came on the radio, and I was already a little high, and I started braking because there was Leyendijk overtaking someone, and there wasn't much room on the inside, and I was braking a little bit on the outside, and then I saw the two cars that were stopped, and I couldn't avoid them.
It has to be an emotional roller coaster to have gone from celebrating your 23rd birthday yesterday, qualifying in the front row, then the late incident, an untested car, and yet you were running so strong. This is an awful lot for a young man to endure in 24 hours.
Yeah, the player's Reynard was going fantastically during the race, and You know, it felt really safe, and I could move up and low in the traffic, and wasn't really, you know, trying to go like crazy, but, you know, things like that happen on a racetrack.
Well, I tell you, a lot of people say this young man has ice water in his veins. I think maybe I believe it. We're happy you're all right.
Well, thank you.
All right, Paul?
Such a sad smile, though. A young man at 23 who had the racing world by the tail and then involved in that accident. Still much to expect out of him.
It's hard to believe that in such an emotional event as this, racing drivers are so cool to come up with the corporate mention of the player's Reynard is the most important thing that was on his mind. But that is how cool and emotionless some of these drivers can be, and indeed have to be.
Last week at Phoenix, race fans saw one of the most frightening crashes in recent history. Gary Gerald had an opportunity to look more closely at that incident.
Without question, the incident that we saw last week in Turn 4 at Phoenix has to be one of the most frightening incidents that we've seen in recent years in IndyCar racing. Let's go back and reconstruct the scenario. Coming out of Turn 3, incidental contact between Hiro Matsushita and Teo Fabi. As they spun up toward the wall, Paul Tracy's car was collected as well. Hiro was left setting broadside to the traffic, and several seconds later, Jacques Villeneuve came rushing toward Turn 4, jumped on the brakes, but hit Hiro literally broadside. Amazingly, all the drivers were able to walk away relatively uninjured. Let's take a look at what remains now of Hiro's car. You can see that here, the cockpit, where the driver sits facing in this direction, but the monocoque with all the carbon fiber all intact. It was cracked down inside, but it did stand up under the punishment. Here's where the impact came across, right behind the roll bar. And you can see it tore through the carbon fiber. It separated the whole rear half of the car. There are 4 large mounting bolts back here where the engine is located. All of that just literally ripped away. But perhaps the most astounding aspect of this crash is right here, around this fuel cell. There were 35 gallons of methanol here. And for the first time in recent years, we saw a fuel cell rupture. And it's an absolute miracle that that fuel didn't ignite, and we would have had fire on top of that horrifying crash. Now, from Villeneuve's standpoint, you can see the remains of the damaged chassis or tub. This is the nose section that was so graphically chewed and torn up by that horrendous impact. All of the carbon fiber literally shredded. And thanks to a rules change made in IndyCar just over a year or so ago, the driver's footbox area was lengthened, the driver moved back, an extra bulkhead was placed in here, and because of those changes, Villeneuve was able to walk away without any injury to his feet. It's also interesting to take a look at some downloaded information from the onboard computer. This charts the speed on the lap just ahead of the impact. Speed building on the back straightaway to 190 miles per hour. Then as he came upon the problem, he's under braking here, slowing down dramatically to a point when suddenly we saw the brake smoke. This is where he locked up the brakes. The impact came a fraction of a second thereafter at just over 100 miles per hour. Obviously, for young Villeneuve, it had to be a terrifying moment when he realized that he was about to hit a helpless fellow driver.
Well, you always learn from your mistake. You know, I know that the subject of the yellow light had been brought up in the driver's briefing because they're very tough. They were very tough to see, and well, you know, it just happened on us. It could happen on anybody, and at those speeds, you know, it's just a flicker of a second, and if you miss a yellow light, something big can happen, and well, I'm going to be looking for them.